The Painted Wall. Meng Longtan from Jiangxi and Zhu, a scholar residing in the capital, happened to come across a temple during their travels. They found that the halls and monks' quarters were not very spacious, with only an itinerant monk residing there temporarily. The old monk, who travels far and wide, saw the guests arriving and tidied his clothes before coming out to welcome them, guiding them to explore the temple. In the main hall, there was a statue of Zhigong with hands and feet shaped like birds' claws. The murals on the walls on both sides were exquisitely crafted, with lifelike figures depicted. On the east wall, there were many celestial maidens scattered among the flowers, with one young maiden letting her hair down, holding fresh flowers with a smile on her face. Her cherry-like lips seemed ready to speak, and her eyes appeared as if they were about to move. Zhu, the scholar, stared at her for a long time, unknowingly being profoundly moved, immediately immersed in deep contemplation of passionate admiration. Suddenly, he felt his body float as if riding on clouds and mists, already transported into the mural. The halls and pavilions were layered one after another, no longer resembling earthly scenes. An elderly monk sat on a platform expounding Buddhist teachings, surrounded by numerous monks listening attentively. Zhu, the scholar, also stood among them. Before long, it felt like someone was discreetly tugging at his sleeves. He turned around and discovered it was the young maiden, smiling as she walked away. Without hesitation, Zhu immediately followed her. They passed through winding fences until the maiden entered a small room, where Zhu stopped in his tracks, afraid to go further. The maiden turned back, raised the flowers in her hand, and beckoned him from afar. With that, Zhu followed her inside. Finding the room empty and silent, he embraced the maiden, and she didn't resist much, leading to an intimate encounter between them. Later, the maiden left, closing the door behind her, and warned Zhu not to cough or make any sound. She returned again during the night. This continued for 2 days until her female companions discovered them. They teased the maiden, saying,
"How big has the child in your belly grown? Do you still want to play the role of a young girl with let-down hair?"
They brought hairpins and earrings, urging her to style her hair as a married woman. The maiden blushed and couldn't say a word. One of her companions said,
"Sisters, let's not linger here. We might upset the owner."
The female companions left, laughing. Zhu looked at the maiden, her cloud-shaped bond towering above, and the phoenix hairpin, which cascaded lower than when she let her hair down, radiated even more captivating beauty. Seeing no one around, they gradually became intimate, the aroma of orchids and musk permeating their senses, immersing themselves in joy and pleasure. Suddenly, the sound of heavy boots with jingling sounds of chains filled the air. This was accompanied by the chaotic noise of arguments and debates. The young girl was startled and, together with the scholar Zhu, she secretly looked out to see a figure dressed in golden armor, with a dark face and holding a chain and a large hammer. Many women were surrounding him. The golden-armored figure said,
"Is everyone here?"
The women replied.
"We are all here."
He then said,
"If anyone is hiding mortal beings from the mortal realm, you must report them immediately. Do not seek punishment for yourselves."
The women all said in unison.
"There is no one."
The golden-armored figure turned around and looked around fiercely, like a hawk about to conduct a search. The young girl was extremely afraid, her face pale, and in a panic, she said to Zhu.
"Quick, hide under the bed."
She herself opened a small door on the wall and hurriedly escaped, while Zhu crouched under the bed, not daring to make a sound. Soon, the sound of the boots entered the room and then went out again. The noise of the people gradually faded away, and Zhu's emotions settled slightly. However, there were always people passing by outside the door, talking and discussing. He anxiously stayed crouched for a long time, feeling an unbearable buzzing in his ears and his eyes burning. But he could only listen silently, waiting for the young girl to return, almost forgetting where he himself came from. At that moment, Meng Longtan couldn't find Zhu, so he asked the old monk curiously, The old monk smiled and said,
He went to listen to the preaching of the Dharma.
Meng Wantan asked.
Where is he?
The old monk replied.
Not far.
After a while, the old monk tapped the wall with his hand and called out.
Zhu, you've been playing for so long. Why haven't you come back?
Immediately, Zhu's image appeared on the mural, and he stood there, as if he had heard. The old monk called out again.
Your companion has been waiting for a long time.
Zhu then floated down from the wall, disheartened, and stood there, wide-eyed and weak. Meng Wantan was greatly surprised and slowly asked him. It turned out that Zhu had been crouching under the bed, and when he heard the thunderous knocking on the wall, he came out to listen and see. At this time, they looked at the mural again and saw that the girl with the flower in her hand had her bun high, no longer letting her hair down. Zhu was astonished and bowed to the old monk, asking him what was going on. The old monk smiled and said,
Illusions arise from the human mind. How can I explain them?
Zhu felt uneasy, and Meng Wantan was terrified and confused. The two immediately got up and bid farewell, walking down the steps and leaving the house.